Hey folks, I have finished grading your integrative literature review matrix today and have given you feedback in the rubric that the assignment is due with. Normally in this, I try to put comments in the field of the matrix where there's problems or errors. We have now moved to box view for our academic feedback in rubrics, and it's not fabulous. One of the features that allows us to do this is we can do annotations on the actual document. Well, like when you get your Word document back from us, apparently Excel spreadsheets are not loved like Word documents are, and you cannot put any comments on them. So I tried to give you, if there was a specific area, I tried to give you an example of where you could find the error in your paper, and then direct you as much as I can. The general idea at the end of this part 2 is, do you have a adequate sample of 15 scholarly articles that are related to answering your PICO question so that you can complete an analysis of your findings? If you got feedback that maybe you flipped your research method and your design, or you commingled information, or maybe your sample population didn't have enough data in it, all that stuff is just feedback for the next time you do a matrix. You don't have to redo it. You don't have to submit anything. If you did not, if you didn't have enough articles to move forward, so let's say you didn't have enough, you didn't have that 15, I'm going to give you feedback in your rubric that's going to say you're going to need to resubmit this assignment before you can start part 3. That was a very rare occurrence. But if it did happen, again, that's not the end of the world. All you'll need to do is find out the remaining articles that you're missing, tag them to the bottom of your matrix, and resubmit it so that I know that when you say you found this answer to your PICO, that you've looked at enough high quality, primary level research to support your answer. And that's really the goal in an integrative literature review, is that you're using adequate data to support your answer. This isn't an exhaustive search, so 15 is good enough. You're going to be able to look at it and say, I've got enough information to make an informed decision about how to answer my PICO question. And that's really the idea here. Just generally, some of you, but probably about half and half of you, were able and had the time to add the italic font in your APA formatted reference. So you italicize the journal and the volume appropriately. If for some reason that wasn't a detail that you caught, it is really tough to do in Excel format. That's not something you lost points on, but one of the mistakes I've seen students make is they copy from their matrix into a Word document and they forget to go in and fix the missing italic font. So be warned, there's italic font. You know this, you're graduating students. Just make sure you fix that when you transfer it over. The other thing that I did not go back in and pull apart was your date range. If your Part 1 said that because of the design of your study or the type of material you were looking at, you were going to go back 10 years and not 5, and I said that was okay. That's okay. So just make sure that the years of research, so the date of your research that you used in your matrix, aligns with what you said in Part 1. So if you said you were going to look between 2008 to 2018, make sure your literature dates do not go beyond the 2008 date. Just make sure they match up. That was not something I went back in and double checked or corrected. I looked for big things that weren't congruent. Okay. I was really pleased with this assignment. If you are worn out by it, then you probably did it well. It is part of the reason that this feels so tedious for you and time-consuming and mentally exhausting is because you're not just doing a matrix, you're learning the matrix. I promise you that if you chose to do a matrix before on another research project, let's say you were on a shared governance committee and you were going to research the use of mechanical restraints in an elderly inpatient environment, or I think they call that geriatric. You can tell I'm not a geriatric nurse. And you were going to look at that, you would use a matrix and you would have so much more fluid fluidity in moving through the process. Right now it feels horribly tedious because you're not just doing it, you're learning it. So you're doing well, okay? And I will tell you that I think the matrix is the hardest part, because now you've already done your rationale for keeping your articles. So part 3 is you explaining, doing your comparing and contrasting, you connecting all of the dots in what you have found. So you're going to pull together your common themes in your 15 articles. You're going to do those, you're going to summarize your main findings in their relevance to answering your PICO question. And folks, this is not an article summary. So if you're already thinking about, I want to get moving on part 3, a component of part 3 is the analysis of what you found. This is not a article by article summary of this author says this, period, new paragraph. This author said this, period, new paragraph. That's not what that is. That is an undergraduate level summary. That's not what you're doing. You're going to be doing an analysis. So you're going to go in and you're going to look at your 15 articles. And I'm such a paper person. I would do a concept map. I would get a blank sheet of paper and I would pull out my articles and I would number them 1 through 15 or A through whatever the 15th letter in the alphabet is. And I would organize them that way, and I would group them in common themes, things that they all agreed on. And you begin to summarize your findings in a concise way that says, these 3 authors said this about my topic. These 2 authors agreed that this was the best way to do this. This author said this about the approach to my question, but this other author suggested a different way to approach the resolution. You're looking at those 15 articles in their similarities and your differences, and you're comparing and contrasting how they answer your PICO question. So if you want to begin to work on part 3, that's how you're going to do it. Begin to organize how those concepts in those 15 articles are interrelated and different. And that's going to be the beginning part of your analysis. You're going to connect all those dots. You're also going to talk about validity, limitations, and the other piece of part 3 is the so what factor. Your PICO question was this. Your answer is this. Why does anybody care? How is this relevant to the role of the nurse educator? What are the next steps in research? You got to tell me what you found and tell me why it matters. So if you think about the analysis, you're addressing validity and limitations. What has the potential to impact your research that may impact its validity? And then begin to address that last piece of the so what factor, the how does this really matter? All 3 of those pieces come together in part 3. So if your brain is kind of getting in high gear and you're thinking, I want to go ahead and get part 3 moving, that's how you're going to do it. Okay, you begin to do those drafts and begin to organize your thinking. For your work this week, you have got your final part of your portfolio and your log, your second log. Your second log this is an old hat for you guys. Just make sure that you are tracking your goals and objectives and that you are successfully looking, you can tell I'm tired. You are successfully working toward completing all of your goals and objectives before the end of the course. One of the other assignment you've got to do is your portfolio part 3. A big piece of your portfolio are your artifacts, and you're required to provide 4 different types of artifacts. And these artifacts are the best of the best. It gives the person who's reviewing your portfolio a real sense of who you are as a nurse and a nurse educator. If you choose one of the artifacts, one of the 4, has to be your original goals and objectives from 618 with the an annotation beside each goal and each objective of when they have been completed. If for some reason you are wrapping up, this is due before your log 3. And let's say you have 2 or 3 that are still outstanding, but you're going to meet them before the end of log 3, use the date of the end of the course for completion. And you can just put projected completion and put the date of the end of the course. Okay, and I think that's the 23rd or something. What is the course? Nope, it's not. It's the 16th. So you can use the 16th if you've got just a handful. Now, if you're looking at your goals and objectives and you are way off the mark, let's say you are just really struggling and you've got a huge batch of them that you have not addressed or they have not been met, please send me an email and let's talk about this, because we need to walk that road before you get to the end and everything's not met and lined up. So just know, put those details in there for the artifact. If it isn't done, but it's going to be by the end of the course, just put projected completion by the end of the course. Your other artifacts need to be unique to you. These are the things that sometimes you may have to do as an attachment. I'm going to encourage you to not use an attachment for everything, and that when you insert your artifact, you want to put a little blip in there that says, this is a PowerPoint presentation related to this topic, and this is how it represents me. I'm talking about 2 or 3 sentences, nothing more. Do not go overboard. Just enough to say, this is why I want you to click on this. Videos should be embedded. Pictures should be embedded. Those things should not be attached files, and there's some instructions for how to do that in Blackboard. If you're struggling with that, give me a holler. We'll talk about that process and see if we can get you squared away. The idea with your portfolio is that your viewer is immediately going to get a sense of who you are, your thoroughness, your attention to detail, a polished look, a friendly look. They want to be able to see who you are. So be creative, have fun with this. Think about if Dr. Hudgens said, okay, surprise, you have to go send it to your potential employer. I'm not actually going to do that. But if I did, would you be able to click on your link, copy it, and send it to a future employer? Could you send it to a promotion committee? Work towards intentionally developing this portfolio. If you have questions or concerns, remember the Ask the Professor link is there. Lots of common questions, so don't forget to use that for the who, what, when, where, how kind of questions. I feel like there was something else I had to tell you. Nope. I got nothing. Okay. If you have questions or concerns, please touch base. Let me know how you are. If there's any concerns about the feedback that you were given in your matrix that's unclear or you need additional feedback, holler at me. Let me know, if there's something going on or there's not clarity to guide you into your next step. I'm happy to do that. I hope you guys have a great rest of the week. It is Monday. I'm officially tired of rainy and dreary weather, but I'm grateful that it's not snowing. So let me know how you are. Y'all have a great week. Take care.